Just had a phone call come in, so that's why it stopped. Okay.
This is just stuff that needs to be recaulked and sealed occasionally. It's just typical maintenance. A little bit of slope on the front. They have this kind of planter over here, and it actually slopes down towards the house. That'll cause water to kind of pile up around the foundation. In Arizona, we have expansive soils, so if the soil gets water in it, it'll expand, and that's when you start to get foundation issues. So we want to keep all the grading away from the house. This is the electrical panels back here. It's in a little cove back behind the laundry room. Code requires 3 feet of clear space in front of an electrical panel, so you could actually stand in front of it, fix something, work on it, flip your breakers, whatever you need to do. And they have this table here, which kind of violates that. So we just make note of that. There's also a couple wires in the panel that are what we call a double tap. It's when you have more than one wire on a breaker. It's a substandard installation. It could cause the breaker to trip more frequently. So I recommend having an electrician get that out of there, put it on its own breaker.
So here's a question, since we're on breakers, are they labeled?
They are not. So that will be in the report. They are not properly labeled. Some of them are, but some of them aren't.
Okay.
They've got 30, 40 years worth of people doing different things in there.
Okay, so that was one of the questions she had was,
Gotcha.
are the breakers labeled?
No problem.
Okay, so where is that?
This is on the back of the house.
Okay.
So this is your sunroom.
The patio, okay.
It looks to me like they ran an electrical wire in here because you've got an outlet kind of right over here. This is not electrical conduit. It just looks like PVC pipe to me.
Looks like PVC pipe to me too.
Probably not a big deal. It's working. The house isn't burning down, but it's not really the code, so we're going to point it out. And if an electrician wants to look at it, they can tell you if it's a problem. So the AC unit, the first one we came across was a 2003. I think she told you already the AC units are working great. They're cooling fantastic.
And because it's cool enough today, we were also able to test the heat, and the heat works as well.
Yes, it does. Up at the units, they do have the electrical lines running into the units. And this conduit's just old. It's been baking in the sun for years and years, and it's starting to deteriorate. So we recommend getting those replaced before it actually exposes the wires inside there and damages the wires.
And so what is this composite? What is this made of?
It's usually just a plastic, rubberized plastic material, yeah.
Because it looks like it's silver, so it looked like you'd think it was metal, but
No.
it's not. Okay. Okay, well that's on the roof.
This is also on the roof. This was the old water pipe for the evaporative cooler that's not on the roof anymore. So it's just not properly capped. So we can see it's got some corrosion, which means water's been seeping out of there at some point. There's a little bit of damage to the roof underneath that, which tells me it's had water in it. So we want to get that
So
properly
there's
capped
water
up.
going to it.
That would be my guess, yeah. It looks like they just pinched it closed.
Well, and so you'd have to hire what kind of a person to identify the source of the water that's going to it and get that shut off properly so that you don't have to worry about.
An HVAC person, if you have someone coming out anyway to do some annual service on your units or whatever, or a plumber, either one of them would be able to do it.
Okay, great.
This looks like it's another evap spot where they used to have an evaporative cooler. And it's got this big gap right here in the front of it. So not really a huge problem, but it is inviting birds into there.
Oh, well, that is not a
So
good
if
thing.
we look in here, there's a lot of bird waste and even a dead bird in there. So I'd recommend getting that all cleaned up. Just get that off your roof. You don't want
And
that.
so, is that something that, for example, that because it's not being used, is it something that the roofer, when they come to if she has the roof redone, that they would take off, or would she have to have an HVAC person remove it and then the roofer come and fix the roof?
That's a good question. It kind of depends on how the ductwork is hooked up. If this is hooked up into your regular ductwork that you use for your AC, I'd want to have an HVAC guy remove it. That way they can cap it properly and you're not going to be blowing conditioned air into the attic.
And then also you're not having an issue of the water lines from a swamp cooler.
Right. But a roofer could also, if it's not connected to anything at all, then a roofer could just remove it and re-roof that area.
Okay, so it's first contact your AC person, and when they're doing the shut-off wall for the other water valve and checking your air conditioner, they can let you know if that's connected to anything, and then once you have that knowledge that it's not hooked up to anything, you can wait, let the roofer remove it, and re-roof the house when you're ready to re-roof.
Right.
Okay. Just getting the right order of
No, you're
things,
fine.
you know?
The other AC unit is a 2000. Again, they were actually both working the same. I was getting the same splits out of them, and
Good. So they're both working well to get cold and hot, so that's good.
Yep.
Yeah, because it was chilly in this house when I walked in. I'm like, brr, he's tested the air conditioner.
Yeah. Same thing on this one. Those conduits are probably just original, and they're just starting to deteriorate. We just want to get those replaced when we get a chance. Now, they painted a good number of the outlets in the home. It's a little bit of a safety hazard because a lot of times I couldn't even get my plug checker in some of these outlets. They're just so painted over that we want to get anything that's painted over replaced. You know, that's a safety hazard. Luckily, outlets are only like 30 cents a piece, so it's not a huge expense to get it done. It's
just a matter of making sure that the breaker box is turned off before, and making sure that you mark your breakers. Yeah, that's a...
we got a couple little cracks, very, very minor in the showers. When they put these tile showers in, they do all this grouting, and grout is a concrete product, so it always shrinks when it dries. They just didn't come back and touch it back up after it dried like you normally would. So we just want to get that done. That way excessive water doesn't get back behind the tiles and cause them to come loose. I had one window in this front bedroom up here, the master bedroom, that doesn't completely close. You can see there's a little bit of light coming out through the window.
You can see the light right through here.
So the frame is a little off kilter. And that is that area where the water has been kind of pooling against the house. So it's possible that we might have a little foundation movement there, but I didn't really see evidence of that anywhere else.
Okay. So is window frame something that can be adjusted to?
Yeah. So a window guy would definitely be able to adjust that and take care of it for you. Also on that.
And is that the front room, and so that's the master bedroom?
The master, yeah.
Okay.
On that same window, the inner frame, because you got the storm windows on the inside, so it kind of gives you that double pane. The lock on the inner window just doesn't lock all the way, so it'll just slide open. But the window on the outer one locks fine, so.
Okay, good.
You are secure.
I didn't realize there were storm windows in there.
Yeah. In the guest bedroom over on the side over here, they have a dimmer switch for the fan and light. The dimmer doesn't do anything. It's either on or off.
Yeah.
So
okay.
We'll just make note of that. And then your microwave here in the kitchen. So this microwave is actually set up to exhaust the vent, or to have the venting go through the roof. And that way any grease or anything that you're cooking would get out of the kitchen. But they didn't hook the microwave up to that. So right now it's just blowing out the top of the microwave.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with it. But the venting is available and it's not in use, so we'll make note of it.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Because that's the one thing, my vent blows right back in my face as I'm cooking.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that's just silly. So, and this looks like under the kitchen sink.
Exactly, under the kitchen sink. This is our drain line for our dishwasher.
Oh, that's our favorite line. Just, this is something that 90% of the houses have this issue.
Yeah, it's almost every house. So this drain line just goes straight down into the dishwasher. It's required to have an air gap. And what that means is this line is supposed to be above the bottom level of the sinks. So when you fill your sink up with dirty water and let it go, all that water doesn't drain back into your dishwasher and contaminate your dirty dishes. We want that air gap so it doesn't do that.
So all you need to do is to take this part of the cord, which is dropped down, and have it clipped with a little cup hook type thing right up here, and then that brings the whole line so it's higher than this level, and then it doesn't then it won't put dirty contaminated water back into your dishwasher.
Exactly. And the good news is that actually almost all new dishwashers have a built-in air gap on the side of the dishwasher.
So you still end up with that.
You're still safe, but we can't see it, so we have to call out that it's not there.
Great.
But chances are you have it.
And just so you know, literally 90% of the houses, that's the case. I cannot tell you how many inspections have, everyone has had it. Ooh, is that right? No, that's upside down.
I just turned it, and now it's right. So this is the bottom of the garbage disposal.
So
it's facing upwards.
Okay. I'm like, what is that?
So this is
missing a cap.
It is. It's missing a little rubber grommet or a metal grommet right here.
Okay.
And that it's going to vibrate when you're running it. And we don't want these sharp metal edges to tear up that wire.
Yep,
so
that
we
makes
just want to
sense.
have a clamp on there. I do have a little bit of water damage back behind under the kitchen sink. This is actually in that cabinet that's kind of in that corner.
That's the cabinet over here, which is the back side of the sink.
Right.
And so I'll walk around so you can see it since we're right here. So see, it's this cabinet right here.
That just tells me that they had a leak under the kitchen sink at some point. It is hard to find a sink in Arizona that hasn't leaked at one point or another.
Well, and especially in a home that was built in 1981, so
Right.
that's not something that would be unheard of.
Right.
Whether it's your garbage disposal that goes or a sink that something happens. Yeah, that's very common.
It is, and it looks like they had a leak and they fixed it. There's nothing leaking right now. But we know that mold doesn't like light. So if there was going to be any sort of mold, this is kind of an indicator that might be under the cabinets hidden. But as long as it's not getting wet, it's going to be dormant and it's not going to mess with you.
Right. It's probably going to have dried out.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's another wire rubbing against metal.
Exactly. So we're missing wire nuts or
And where
those wire
is
clamps and
this?
grommets. And this is actually, there's several locations in the attic
Okay.
where they didn't put in those wire clamps, pretty much on all the new can lighting that they did. So I would have an electrician.
Bad
take a look at
electrician.
that.
Bad electrician.
Oh, that was for me. Got a little bit of evidence of some water coming down the chimney. Not a whole lot we can do about that, but keeping that damper closed will keep your house a little more energy efficient and
so
keep
where is
some of
this
that water
picture
out.
taken from?
This is looking up in the fireplace.
Into the fireplace.
Yeah, so
Okay,
this is your chimney damper.
Oh, I see. So moisture has come in
Into
from,
the
so it's
outside.
rain
It's-
from
yeah.
outside of the wind and it's
Yeah.
come in and down and dripped. Okay.
I would just keep that closed if you're not using your fireplace. Ooh, that's a bad picture. So the water heater is 2015. I didn't have any issues with the water heater. It's heating. It looks great. It looks
Good.
Looks new.
Well, it's only 3
only-
years
yeah,
old, so
exactly.
that's good.
So we talked about that vent that is running from the garage to the roof a couple times because that's the one that was leaking. And we're not actually supposed to have any sort of openings in the ceiling of the garage. Garages are supposed to be fire-safe rooms. They have fire-rated drywall on the ceilings, fire-rated drywall on the walls, and a fire-rated door that self-closes and latches. So when you install a vent that goes right into the attic, that breaks that barrier. If you ever did have a fire in the garage, it would run right through that vent into the attic and spread like fire.
Spread like fire. Wildfire, yes.
So we do want to get that, it'd be nice to get that taken care of. They can just adjust that vent to open right into the attic, and then that would help cool your attic and keep the house cool.
So this was probably a vent for the swamp cooler that's not up there, or?
This actually looks like it's just designed to exhaust hot air out of the garage. So my guess is that they maybe had a workshop or something in the garage and they just wanted to try to keep it a little cooler.
Okay.
Also, your garage door opener, your electric opener, is on a light switch. Nothing wrong with it. Again, just kind of a note. It's a little unusual. This may have been done if they were snowbirds and they were leaving all the time and wanted to make sure the house was secure. That way they could just flip it off and not worry about it. So we'll make note that it's on a switch. But it is, once the switch is on, it is fully functional.
Fully functional. So when you go, why isn't the garage door working?
Right.
So that's a switch that you might want to, because you're going to live in the home year round, tape up so that you don't accidentally flip it down. And then that way you don't, later you remember what the switch was for.
Yeah, no, I always live going in and out of my garage. So
Me
if someone
too.
accidentally hit that switch, I'd be locked out.
Yeah, I don't have a way to get in my house, I don't think.
But those are my highlights. I'll have a couple other little things in the report.
Okay.
But overall, very, very average to a little above average for the age and area. So
Fabulous.
not too bad.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I think we answered them as we went along.
Okay.
And Allison, you'll be getting the report late tonight, literally it'll be about 11 o'clock tonight, because that's when the reports get mailed out. They're really good. They don't take that computer and it doesn't get plugged into the internet. They download it, put it on a thumb drive, and then connect it to another computer so that they never have issue with any viruses hitting this one. So it will be late tonight, and I will get this video out to you, and you'll know now that you have it. And so have a great day.